honestly one of the weeks I have been the most excited for, one of the projects I have been the most excited for. Welcome back, guys. It is a huge week in this kitchen makeover. It is honestly one of the weeks I have been the most excited for, one of the projects I have been the most excited for, but it had to wait to the end for a number of different reasons. This week, we are doing the floor of this kitchen. Now, if you remember the very first project in this kitchen makeover where I talked about the general concept and the design, you know the two big things that I was really inspired by when looking at various kitchens and different inspiration pictures and going through Pinterest, and I spent hours on Pinterest. I loved green kitchens, obviously. I went with green kitchens. I was inspired by all of these really natural, organic plants and green. I just love the greens and the wood tones with the marbles. I love those kitchens. The other big thing that I was inspired by were marble checkerboard floors. Now, I know this has been a popular trend the last couple years. You see it in bigger versions, you see it in smaller versions. I love it, and I don't necessarily know why I love it. I think it's a really simple way to elevate a space, give it a little bit of a pattern without it being overpowering. Specifically, I think it works so well next to really bold colors. I love all of these like kitchens and other types of spaces where I saw these checkerboard floors next to these dark blues and greens and reds, and I just thought it was so beautiful and so inspiring. So it was always the plan of this kitchen to do a marble checkerboard floor. And I finally get to do it this week, and I think it's gonna change the whole feel of this kitchen. Honestly, because right now, I mean, there's a ton of green. I have my accents with the wood and the brass and the marble here, but the checkerboard floor is gonna be the first time that I really have like a big, bold pattern going on, and I think it's gonna be such a statement, especially contrasted with the skylight above it, which has a bunch of tile up there. I think it's gonna work so beautifully, and I'm just like itching to get this project started. Now, if you saw that initial design video, you know that I had a couple samples of different peel and stick tiles that I was looking at using. Let me show you. Just like the contact paper, I don't like harsh lines in my marble. I really like it to look really subdued. I like there to be a lot of different texture, but I don't like those super harsh lines in marble. So I was really drawn to this white tile. It has maybe a little bit of grays and even a little bit of a, I don't want to say yellowish undertone, but like a little bit of a tan undertone. It still reads as white in person. It's definitely white. On camera, I think it reads a little bit more gray. But I really loved the texture of this tile. I loved all of the veining on it. I thought it had a lot of movement in it. This was a big win for me. Now, the black tile that I was using is, one, you can see the first big difference is this is has more of a texture. You can see it with the light there. Has more of a texture on the actual surface of it. It's a little bit more matte than how shiny this one is. And the veining is a lot more subtle, which I actually really like. I thought the contrast was really, really nice. The thing about this one was, because I've been sitting with these samples for a couple months now, and I think I was pretty sold on them. This one's actually, annoyingly, I don't know why, 11.8 inches square, whereas everything else is 12. So I'd have to cut down all of my white tiles to fit this, which was gonna be really obnoxious. Let's actually talk while I'm on that subject about the size of the tile. I was considering cutting down the tile because I wasn't sure if 12 by 12 was going to be the right size for this space. It's a very small space. I would say the entire kitchen floor is probably about 7 feet by 4 feet. It's not a ton of space. So I thought about doing a smaller tile so I could have more of that pattern on the ground. And then I tried doing a couple samples of cutting them down. And it started to look busy. Even if I just cut it down to like a 10 by 10, it started to look a little bit busy. And then I was doing more research. I was looking on Pinterest and stuff. And I think a larger tile makes the space feel larger. And obviously I can't get larger than the 12 by 12s. I could do rectangles, but then I can't do a checkerboard. So I'm gonna keep the 12 by 12. One, it's gonna make my life a lot easier because I'm not gonna have to cut anything down. Two, I think it's just going to make the space feel a little bit bigger and it's not gonna be as busy on the floor. I'm really excited about having the pattern on the floor, but I really don't want it to look really chaotic on the ground. So I'm sticking with the 12 by 12, which means I was either gonna have to cut everything down to 11.8 by 11.8, or I was gonna have to move on from this tile. And then I went online and realized this tile was back ordered anyway, so never mind. So I kept looking. Black tile was really hard to find because a lot of black marble tile has that really harsh white lines and stuff, and I don't want that at all. And then I found one, and it just so happened to be by the same company that made this one, so I was like, oh, perfect. They're actually kind of supposed to go together. Let me show you. Doo-doo-doo! This. Now, this was a lot busier than I originally was intending for the black tile. But I think with how much pattern I have going on here, I think it's going to work. Especially because I'm doing the bigger tile. And the thing that I really like about this one, contrasted to the other one, is that this has that gloss like this. And normally I'm not super attracted to high shine things, but I think on this floor, having a super high shine is going to help with light. I've painted a lot of the stuff in this room dark. I love it. But it has made the room feel a little bit smaller. Now I have this massive skylight bringing in a ton of natural light into this room. And I think if I have a floor that has that shine to it, it's actually gonna reflect and create more light in the space. So I think this tile being extra glossy on top of this white one is actually a win. I think I'm going in the right direction. So let's talk about process with peel and stick. I have seen so many horror stories about peel and stick tile. I've used peel and stick for a couple different places. I used it in this kitchen prior in my previous remodel. I've used it on the bathroom remodel. Both of those have worked wonderfully. My secret for using peel and stick tile is that I use this painter's protection film. Now, this is supposed to be used to cover like carpet and stuff to protect it while they're painting. I used this for the first time when I was throwing one of my big Oscar parties in my previous apartment, and I was laying down, I basically put down all new floors just for this party. I hardboarded the entire living room to basically paint a design. My parties were insane. I went way over the top. Anyway, I wanted to protect the flooring. Obviously, I was in a rental. I didn't want to damage anything. So I used this to protect the flooring, and it worked like a charm. And I was like, when I was doing the peel and stick in here for the first time, I thought, yeah, it's gonna be more long-term, but it should still protect the vinyl from the peel and stick tile, because I was really nervous Since I have vinyl flooring throughout the entire apartment, I didn't want the glue from the peel and stick to really rip that up and damage it, especially if I was gonna take this up right before I was moving. That was gonna be a whole nother fiasco that I was gonna have to worry about. I didn't know how it was gonna work, to be honest, for long-term stuff. Then, when I was starting this makeover, I had to paint behind the fridge. So I had to actually take up all the floor because I didn't do the flooring underneath the fridge because I was never gonna see it. But to move the fridge to paint behind it, I had to rip up the floor. And so this is gonna be my first test to see if that film held up. Two things. It was, one, very sticky. I pulled all of it up, got all of the film up, and the film kind of came up in pieces. It was a little bit messy. And then I had to really goo gone and scrub the vinyl flooring underneath. But two, the vinyl flooring was not damaged at all. The peel and stick tile did absolutely nothing. Yes, it got the glue from the peel and stick tile mixed with the film. It was very sticky and I had to scrub the floor, but there was no damage to this vinyl. And I'm considering that a win. So I'm gonna keep on doing that because I really do not want to put down this peel and stick right on top of this vinyl. I don't think this vinyl would be able to handle the glue from the peel and stick. So I'm gonna continue with this track because I knew it protected the vinyl underneath. So I'm going to use this film again and I'm going to lay down this checkerboard tile in this kitchen. And I'm so excited for this project. I feel like this whole room is about to completely transform. So, enough talking, let's just do it. So this is probably a really good time to explain why I'm changing the flooring, not just because my design was to have a checkerboard floor, but I know I can already hear it coming from a lot of people in the comments about like, oh, I really liked the wood floor with the green and stuff. I think this tone actually kind of works nicely with the green. It's not really about that. At some point when in between renters or something, they redid part of the flooring in this apartment. I don't know if it was the kitchen, I don't know if it was the rest of the apartment, but the kitchen is the only space that has this particular vinyl flooring. The rest of the apartment has this wood flooring. It drives me absolutely insane that there is two different types of wood right here. Not only different tones, but running different directions. It drives me absolutely insane. It didn't make any sense to me. It felt like it was just like a patch and somebody just moved on. And I can't live like that. So that is specifically the reason why I knew there was going to be a new floor, on top of the fact that I knew in my design that I wanted to have a checkerboard. That went relatively easy. Here is an important step if you're gonna do this trick before I put down the tile. I tried to smooth it out as much as possible. Yeah, there's gonna be some creases and stuff like that. That's fine, as long as they're not like huge bubbles that you're gonna be able to tell when you walk on it. But if you do have any air bubbles, you are going to want to take a small needle and just kind of poke them and smooth it out, because this is plastic. You will be able to hear, let me see if I can get one. Okay, there's some right there. You'll just have that popping sound underneath you, and that's gonna get really annoying real quick. And the easiest way to stop that is just to take a little needle and just poke that air bubble out and smooth everything out. just a little extra step to make sure that everything lays flat and nothing makes noises when you walk on it. The next step, and maybe the most crucial step, is getting that first line. Because once I lay the first tile, everything else lays down from there. I just need to make sure that that first tile, because I want to do it on a diamond and not square, I need to make sure that that first diamond is perfectly how I want it. Now, that could be a bit tricky because, again, like I've said many times in this kitchen makeover, nothing in this apartment is square. So I have to figure out what line I think is gonna look best going straight down here. I could do straight down matching with the cabinets, which is my original idea. I can make sure that it's exactly perpendicular to this line here, neither of which, mind you, the vinyl that I have right now is not square to either of those things. So I'm just gonna start measuring basically, and I'll put down a painter's tape line and I will see what I think looks best. And once I have that first tile down, this should go quickly, knock on wood. So let's find that line. Honestly, my mind is probably playing tricks with me because there's so many different lines going on the floor right now. But I think I feel the most comfortable with that. I know that that is exactly parallel to the border on the cabinets. And I think it feels good. I think once I put the first one down, everything else is just gonna flow from there. So I'm just gonna trust myself and go for it. Nothing else I can do. So let's go for it. Believe it or not, that is actually all of the hole tiles that I'm going to be using. Everything else needs to get a little bit cut off of it, even if it's just like an inch of a corner cut off. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some parchment paper to kind of make the stencils for each shape. And that way I can get really, really precise cuts and not have to keep kind of going back in and maneuvering them, and I don't have to waste any tiles. I'm so excited. I have a couple paint touch-ups that I need to do around the rim of the baseboard. And of course, I don't have a paintbrush right now, so I'm gonna run and grab a paintbrush because I'm so close to finishing this and I love it so much. So let me grab that real quick. One of the most gratifying parts of the whole design process is that moment where, after weeks or months of saying trust the process, so many decisions, so many moments of feeling like you're doing the absolute wrong thing, when everything suddenly just starts to come together. And I think this floor was so essential always in my mind for the whole design of this kitchen. And I think because it was so essential, there were moments where I just really feel like I just felt like it wasn't coming together. This is really the first time that the whole vision in my head, I can actually physically see it. And it is, honestly, it's kind of emotional. It feels so good to be at this point. There's just a couple more things to do, but this kitchen is honestly, I mean, for a rental apartment and having to work within the confines that I have and with the stuff that I have, it is definitely my dream kitchen for a rental apartment. I would love to design an actual kitchen one day. But for now, this kitchen is exactly what I wanted, and I love it so much. I hope you do too. My favorite thing about the floor is not only the pattern, but the amount of light it reflects into the room. Once I did the black fridge with the darker color, it really started feeling confined in here. It started to feel really, really boxy, and I think the lightness from the floor, not to mention how much light it actually reflects up, has really made this room feel brighter, but also I think the pattern has made the room feel wider. Guys, there's only a couple more things we have to do in this kitchen. Just small detail things, and then I get to style it and do the final reveal. I'm so excited. I am going to post this week a poll on Instagram and on YouTube. Tell me which space in the apartment you'd like to see me do next. Honestly, I have so many ideas all over the apartment and my mind is running wild. So let me know so that we can jump into the next room, because this room is almost done. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Jump on Instagram. I post over there more frequently. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.